You do everything you can to avoid parenting the wrong way, to keep your child from becoming a version of them that you're most afraid of. Maybe you've heard how kids got raised and who they turned into. That's a version of all this perfect parenting is meant to prevent. I was that kid. Correction after correction bounced off me. I never really listened. So did an entire language. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. But one thing got through. And it's the one thing that almost nobody in parenting talks about. My name's Alex. I was the labeled kid. And these days, I talk about what was actually happening inside that kid. There are two ways a nervous system can be in a room. A thermometer reads the temperature and a thermostat sets it. In a home, the parent is the thermostat and the child is the thermometer. And the child's nervous system is reading it before it has any words for it. Almost everything sold to you works downstream from that. The kid's behavior, the script for the hard moment. Upstream emotional intelligence is one level before all of it, with the state of the adult in the room. Without that, we've run the house on autopilot, hoping for the best with the childhood that we came from, steering by a map somebody handed us. That's what this channel is about, Axel's emotional foundations. The foundation is you. When force got used on me as a form of teaching, my body did one of two things: cold distance or heat rising. And very little, if anything, got learned. The adults had a word for it: won't listen. That's their word, not mine. From inside my body, the word was can't. I can't listen. I could hear the noise, I just wasn't listening to the words. I bet that sounds familiar. Can you remember the last time it felt like your child wasn't listening to your words? Now go deeper. Do you remember the last time your parents' words were just noise? What were you feeling and why did the words become noise? Won't is implying that it's a choice that a kid is making at you. Can't is a state a child is stuck in. Here's the receipt. I grew up listening to Tagalog. The adults yelling at me were yelling in Tagalog for years. I never picked it up in a way you'd expect someone who was raised inside of it. Nowhere near fluent. The way I've come to understand it, my body had filed the people speaking underneath it as a threat, and a closed channel doesn't take in any language. And under the same house, under the same language, my brother never carried the label I did. He speaks Tagalog. I don't. Think about what you believe yelling costs. A bad afternoon, maybe a bad week. In my 30s, I can show you the cost in a language I never got. As a parent, you still have options. Your presence is where they live. This isn't shame. Take this as a reminder that you are the adult the child is watching and who they are learning from. Your presence doesn't just help your child, it also helps your emotional health too. Now, I didn't grow up short on adults. I had dozens of them around me. Some raised me directly, most didn't. But they were there, in some way, taking care of me. I had what you would call a village. Out of that whole village, there were 4 adults I would have listened to. 4. Hold that question. So what did the 4 have? My Lola. She was my grandmother. I can't tell you a single story about her. I was a toddler too young for stories. What stayed was a feeling, safe near her before I had any language to keep anything else. My body filed a verdict that I had kept for over 30 years, from an age where memory barely even has the ability to work yet. Your child is running that same read on you tonight. Underneath whatever's being said, don't forget, you are most likely running a read on your own child, one that got mapped from your own parents, except now the roles are switched. See, my body was running a prediction. Adults arrive as force. And around these 4 adults, the prediction went quiet, and what they said went in and stayed. Somewhere in your house tonight, your child is running the same prediction on you. That's what got through, by the way. That's the answer from the top of this video. The channel opened up around exactly one kind of adult. The regulated kind. Their state opened it before their words ever arrived. Everything else, every technique, every speech was downstream from that. Still is. The free piece linked right under this video, the Reactive Parent Reboot, is a structured version of exactly what I just described. More of it at the end. One thing before the dance floor, you have every right to pause between what you feel and how you react. Your child doesn't have that yet. Whatever they see from you becomes a part of what they build into the adult that they're becoming. Years later, I ended up teaching kids dance. I could spot the scared ones first because I recognized it from the inside. And here's what I did with it. I didn't force it. I met them where they were. I opened the door based on how they felt. And eventually, they walked through it. One parent even thanked me because that was the first time that she had ever performed on stage. Another's uncle couldn't believe that his niece's fear disappeared within minutes. "What did you do?" he asked. I said, "I don't know." She had a fear of grass, and I had just finished showing her by rolling my face and my arms in the grass to show her it wasn't a threat. Safety was the floor. What I was starving for was the second story. Someone to lead me once the floor existed. I got moments of it, never the person. And that's exactly how I know what a child of it would have built. Your child runs on the same architecture. Leading only transmits through an open channel, and your current state is what opens it or closes it. The moves themselves, the redirecting, the cooperation, I cover everywhere else. None of it lands on a closed channel. You get to be the one I never had. Last thing, nobody ever listened to the human being behind my mother's role either. She held the thermostat of our whole home, and nobody had ever held hers. I built this for the person, nobody built it for her. So that's the name, Axel's Emotional Foundations. Foundations, because this sits underneath the parenting, upstream of it. If you want the first move tonight, make it smaller than any technique. One question before the next hard moment. What temperature am I setting right now? That single question is the beginning of the upstream turn. And if you want the first structured piece of this work, it's free. It's called the Reactive Parent Reboot. The link is right below or in my bio. It's the version that I wish I had when I was a kid, which is why I am handing it to you. If you've been carrying a verdict about yourself, the angry parent, the too much parent, hear this. That verdict was never your character. What you were handed was a map nobody helped you to read. Working on that map is the work. Everything you want for your child sits downstream of it.